Now, the South African music industry has come under scrutiny again. This as artist and producer Eugene Mthethwa chains himself inside the offices of the South African Music Rights Organization in Braamfontein. He is demanding the release of his royalties for him and other artists. Now, he claims some of the royalties date back to 1998. For more on this, we're joined by Eugene to give us a little bit more details to this story. Nyambasa, good evening and thank you very much for your time tonight. So many were seeing this video on social media doing the rounds, yourself at the SAMRO offices, chained to the offices. You're saying you're going to be there demanding that there is clarity being given about your work that was undocumented. Give us the genesis of this story and what is this work that has been outstanding up until this point?
Well, my engagements were, let me say good evening first and foremost, and say that my engagement with SAMRO dates back as of 6 years ago. And the current leadership, it's almost 2 years now I've been engaging them. So having failed to make any sense to them, I then decided, because they are not giving this matter the attention it deserves, then I have to go and change myself. That was a desperate measure, which is often it's often pushed by the fact that there is a desperate situation. Artists are not getting their royalties, and one of those things that I've discovered is that our music has been kept in undocumented works when we had initially notified, meaning that these works were documented. Yeah. And then they move from one part of being documented into undocumented. They appear more than 11 times, others is 128 times on the system. And my question is that if you have 11 titles of the same name with different ID numbers, meaning work numbers, which one do you decide to pay to when you look at having received the royalties from the broadcasters? Which one do you decide to choose to pay the amount to, because they are all different but the same title?
All right, let's have a look at, maybe they might have missed how desperate the situation was. Look at this video of what happened these past 2 days or so.
Well, guys, as you can see, I'm here at SAMRO, and yeah, I'm here at SAMRO. I'm gonna sleep here at SAMRO. I've changed myself and to the SAMRO building so that I do not leave this place unless I am dead or I'm given all the answers that I deserve. I demand that, and I will.
The answers that you've been looking for, you're saying you've been looking for them for the past 6 years, right? Talk to me about the amount of engagement, meetings that you've had, and what has been coming out of those meetings.
Well, I have met all the CEOs that you can think of from SAMRO. After Rob Hoyer, I think Rob Hoyer, the former CEO of SAMRO, the white person, Rob Hoyer was far better than the CEOs that I've met at SAMRO who happen to be very black. Because the engagements, they end up with promises, but those promises never get. The current situation is that the CEO that we have at the moment has been avoiding answering questions. But instead, I was surprised, even when I was at SAMRO, chained at SAMRO, he couldn't even call me to talk to me. He couldn't respond to the email I sent 2 minutes when I arrived at SAMRO to say, I'm now inside the building and I have changed myself. Here are my questions. If you can answer these questions, I will leave peacefully from these premises. He didn't. Instead, he was talking, he called the third party who came to see me. And the guy showed me that, look, yes, Mark Rosen is calling me, but he couldn't call me. Yet he's calling the third party to talk to me through another person. So that is the level of disrespect that is at SAMRO in terms of the members. He's been saying that he's got too much work, meaning what I am raising is not work, is not part of his work, in other words. And I was shocked to see something in the newspaper where he responded and said that he doesn't know much detail about my consent, my case. Yet my advocate, David du Plessis, has written to him a number of emails to such an extent he ended up escalating the matter to the board because he was not responding.
So let's talk about this situation then of Mark Rosen, because you've already brought it up. His response is he's disappointed and alarmed by your sit-in protest over unpaid royalties, and he condemns, I suppose, the act. He says we in fact should know that you actually owe SAMRO money because you got access to the SAMRO royalties in a manner that was, I suppose, underhand. I'm just summarizing. That's not exactly what he says. And they have been taking royalties, or they have been reimbursing themselves through your royalties for the money that you owe them.
Well, it is unfortunate that he presents that matter as an excuse for not paying royalties that date back from 1998 to 2021. It's supposed to be me who's saying that SAMRO owes me so much money that I should be taking the building and repossessing that building to repay myself. That story is an old story from 2016, which was actually publicly which was publicized. It was a loan for the bursary, and at the moment that amount is within, it's standing at about 70 to 80, and he wants to minimize my concerns through the questions I've raised into a situation of royalty that I'm not receiving. I'm not doing this for myself. I'm also talking on behalf of others. If he wants to make it an excuse not to pay me, then he should be paying Mandla, he should be paying Jaros and other people, but they're not getting their royalties paid. He should be able to answer why music moves from being children known to be owned by certain people, to orphans that don't have any parent. What makes that? And when I said, okay, there's an admission in the first place to say we are going to pay you from 2014 to 2020. Why is he saying they are going to pay me from 2014 to 2020?
Do you have that in writing? Do you have that commitment?
Yes, I can post it. I can send it to you. All the emails that I have. I can send it. Currently, today, I received an email that he's acknowledging the fact that he's going to deal with these issues. He's going to go to the board. Why is he saying he's going to go to the board if I'm owing? Why doesn't he tell me that Eugene, pay back the money, we will pay you? Again, where is the logic?
Sorry, Eugene, we are losing that line there. Unfortunately, we are losing that
line. If I owe you 80,000, is it?
Yeah.
Are you getting me now?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I'm saying, tell me where is the logic? When you owe me 80,000, when I owe you 80,000 and I owe you 80,000 in 2016, but you have not paid me from 1998. Where is the logic in you saying, I will hold these royalties, but you are not correcting what you owe me? Why don't you pay me from 1998 to 2021 and then deduct your 80,000?
In your summary, how much do they owe you?
In some, well, I wouldn't be able to tell because the estimation that they want to pay currently from 2014 to 2020, he said it is in the region of 70 to 100,000. Okay. Now, remember that the high rotation of these songs were during that time when they were released. Skiangengoma in 1995, Mahasman in 1998. So if you want to pay me from 2014 to 2020, it is when the songs were no longer on high rotation. And you estimate around the region of 80,000 because the whole plot is to say, once I say, okay, fine, it's better than nothing, then they say, oh, by the way, you owe us 80, so we're not paying you anything. To that effect, we even asked him, my advocate asked him, tell us, give us the criteria you've used to estimate what you're saying you're going to pay. Why do you admit and then you turn around into the public and say, we can't pay him because, but with me, he's admitting, and I've got emails that I can show you.
All right, Eugene, appreciate you and bringing that side of the story. We'll speak to Mark Rosen in a moment and get the understanding as well from the SAMRO side of things, what is actually going on here. The Newsfeed Late Night continues in a moment.